That's the one they're thinking about, dealing with, or manifesting in. 3 cards for how Sagittarius is feeling, please. Okay, so we've got the 5 of Swords. Now that is all about, you can see they're having a sword fight up here. Swords are communication. So there's verbal arguments going on in the Sagittarius household at the moment, or with somebody. Hi, Alex. Welcome in. Okay, 2 more cards for how Sagittarius is feeling for the week ahead. It's tarot card readings. So cards fly out just like that one has, and then I interpret them, okay, and they're for the different zodiac signs. Okay, the 8 of Wands. Wands is fast action, progress, and communication. Okay, the 8 of Wands is a very good card to get upright. So there's going to be some sort of progress. Thanks for the likes. After these arguments, okay, so I'm doing Sagittarius at the moment, so anyone who's Sagittarius, this might resonate with them, or you can cross-watch someone who's Sagittarius. Okay, so we've got the Queen of Wands. That is Sagittarius energy. The Queen of Wands. Wands are fire, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Fire sign energy. It's your solar plexus being activated, confident, assertive. And it is because this is upright, okay? So good looking, confident, assertive, goal orientated. The Queen of Wands in a love reading can be a third party, so the other man, the other woman, okay? So you could be in a third party dynamic, or you could just be, you know, showing up as your Sagittarius energy. Very confident. Let's see what other cards came out. The Knight of Wands. Okay, so we're going very sexual here. The Knight of Wands is passionate. He's flighty. You know, he thinks with sexuality rather than emotions. 4 of Pentacles reversed. There could be a loss of money. The King of Pentacles, or just outgoings of money. The King of Pentacles and the Queen of Wands. Okay, so you could be dealing with an earth sign. Maybe you're the Queen of Wands. Maybe they're the King of Pentacles. Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, earth signs. It's upright, okay? So someone who's abundant, they're very good at earning money. They like to spend money. They like to gift. Very much connected to 3D earthly matters, you know, like work and finance and savings, material items, assets. There's a lot of passion here. A lot of passion between you and another person. Let's get some cards for how they're feeling. I hope you're having a good weekend so far. Let me know where you're watching from. That's always fun. Right, that just moved. It's these, isn't it? So these landed sideways, which is the challenge position. Now we've got the King of Swords, which is air energy. So if you think about the air signs, we've got Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, particularly Aquarius with the King of Swords. Very cerebral, very intelligent, intellectual, logical, a fantastic orator, writer, good with words, very persuasive, very confident, truthful. Hi, Dark Thomas or DRK Thomas. I'm just going to slide the phone down a bit because although I love the view, I need to see the chat. Yeah, does your mum like tarot? Well, this is the Surrealist Tarot deck. It's really nice and artsy. It's just, you can buy it off Temu. The King of Swords upright, and then we've got the Six of Cups reversed. So the Six of Cups when it's upright is, yeah, it's addictive buying tarot card decks. I've got hundreds of them. The Six of Cups upright is soulmate. Okay, so on the traditional Rider-Waite tarot deck, it's a brother and sister because it's unconditional love. It's a very sweet, nostalgic energy, the Six of Cups, and each person has a lot of love for the other. And when you've loved someone for many years in a relationship, you hold them in very high regard. So the cups have acquired over many years. Okay, so this is a very established relationship. But the Six of Cups was reversed, so and they were both in the challenge position, weren't they, thinking about it? So I think there's a marriage here or a very serious long-term relationship where you live together. And I think the challenge is trying to be harmonious. There might be a lot of arguments, instability. Let's see what else comes out. Well, I'll explain the cards as I go through, but there's 4 suits. There's it's like normal playing cards in that there's 4 suits. So you've got swords, pentacles, wands, and cups. Okay, and cups are feelings and emotions. Wands is like adventure, it's passion, it's anger, being competitive. Swords are communication, the thoughts and the verbal communication. And pentacles is money. So a lot of it you learn from that. Pages are at the beginning of a journey. Knights are, traveling. They're also at the beginning of something. And then queens and kings are usually established in a relationship or married. And then you have the emperor and the empress. So there's ranks like that of importance. The emperor is all 4 kings. The empress is all 4 queens. And it doesn't determine gender, the fact that it's a king or a queen. It determines more masculine energy or more feminine energy. And every person possesses masculine and feminine energy. Okay, it's just that we become more assertive and more masculine in our energy in certain situations. And we can be more feminine in our energy, more nurturing and passive in certain situations. So often couples take turns exhibiting more masculine or feminine energy. It's really interesting, and the more tarot you watch, the more you'll learn. If you watch other tarot readers, you'll learn it like that. You don't need to study it because they often explain it as it's coming out. Right, so we've got the judgment and the challenge position. Okay, so as I said, when it comes out sideways, the challenge is we're being called to act, okay? And when it's reversed, we're ignoring the call to action. The universe wants us to do something to bring about change. This person is playing, I think it's a bugle. Okay, I think it's meant to be like the angel Gabriel, but it's obviously like a different design because it's Dali-esque. They're trying to raise the dead. It's like, come on, wake up, we need to take action. So the challenge is, will this person take action with regards to, and they could be Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. They don't have to be, they could have that in their placements. There's a lot of thinking going on with regards to a long-term love connection. And whether they'll take action is the question. So let's get one more for them. I tend to do a 9-card spread. So I tend to get 3 cards for you if you're Sagittarius and 3 cards for your person. And then I get 3 for the outcome. If you like and subscribe, once I get to 500 subscribers, I can answer questions in the lives, because then you can give me a super chat. Otherwise, you can pay for a personal reading instead of a collective one for all of the sides. You can get something more personalised, and you can ask any question. It doesn't have to be about love, but it can be a love question about someone specific. The details are at the top of my channel. There's links to my Etsy store, okay? But I have to get to 500 subscribers before I can take monetary gifts and answer questions in the lives. Otherwise, I'm using up my time, you know, to answer individual questions instead of serving the collective. And my job is to serve the collective. I don't have, you know, like enough time, like I have a lot of work to do today. Okay, so the Knight of Swords reversed. So the Knight of we've gone from the King of Swords to the Knight of Swords. So this is, and it's reversed. So there's a lot of anger coming out here. Hi, Peachy. I'm just looking at the artwork. These are really cool, aren't they? The Knight of Swords, when it's night, they're traveling and they're trying to go towards a person with a message. When it's swords, there's an urgent message. When it's upright, now it's very fast as well. It's urgent, so the knight will be galloping along. When it's reversed, that sword, when it's wielded in a bad way, can really hurt. So the Knight of Swords could be delivering a message, and then as soon as they've come in, they could be gone. Or they might say things in a way that's very clumsy and hurtful. They could be very angry when it's reversed. This is not an individual reading, this is a collective one, guys. So if you want to ask a personal question, you'll need to pay £18 for an individual 20-minute reading, or you'll have to wait till I get to 500 subscribers and then I can answer super chats. I don't do free questions. I haven't got the time to do that. I'd be here for hours and hours. Can't pick the cards up, that'd be helpful. Ooh, in the outcome, we've got the 10 of Pentacles upright. This is such a good card to get. The 10 of Pentacles is lasting generational wealth. So in each suit, the numbers run from 2 to 10, or 1 to 10 if you count aces and pages. 10's the maximum amount of wealth that can be accrued, and it's usually the result of marriage or a super long-term, you know, union between two people, because you put you each put your money in, your time, your money, your energy, and it builds up to 10. If it's a single energy, it would be 9 of Pentacles and would be self-sufficient. The 10 of Pentacles is, I can pay for children, I can pay for my children's children. It's that long-term abundance that we're all working towards, that we're striving towards for our lifetime, you know. This is in the outcome. Let's get 2 more cards for the outcome for the first week of April, so the week ahead. Right, the challenge, we've got the Chariot, which is the major arcana for Cancer. The Chariot is what the Emperor jumps into, you know, with all of his armour on. He has his sword and his shield, he's ready to fight, he's ready to defend or to attack. It signifies movement in particular, you know, see there's a locomotive on here. It's taking decisive action, you know, in order to win. And that's the challenge. So let's get one more for the outcome. We've got the Ace of Cups upright with the Two of Cups reversed. Wow. Okay, so the Ace of Cups is being in love. It can also be self-love, okay? But it's an ace is like an extra large amount. So it would be being in love. If it was just a single cup being offered, you know, you would say, oh, I think I might have feelings for this person. I think I want to tell them that I have feelings for them. This is being absolutely in love, okay? It's overflowing and it's a really large cup. But we've got the Two of Cups reversed in combination with it. Now, the Two of Cups upright is when two people fall in love, they realise they each have the same feelings for one another. It's like that feeling before you tell each other and you've been dating and you think I love this person, and they're feeling the same way. You know, because 2 is at the beginning of a cycle. When that's reversed, one person has a cup full of emotion, but the other does not. So it's when there's different feelings between two people. So for that to be in the outcome, one person does not feel the same as the other. But there's a lot of wealth that's been accrued over the years. So although in a practical sense this is a very successful connection and not for nothing, feelings have definitely changed on one side. One person does not feel the same anymore. And I would say that it's Sagittarius's person, because there's a lot of passion here. And maybe it's a turn on, you know, the fact that this person's a good provider and you have a good quality of life together. But yeah, look, see, they've got the Six of Cups. The King of Swords is trying to be logical and think, but I don't. You know, this love connection has expired, like in terms of the emotions. And they may be blunt about it. Ooh, this has been coming out for a while, I'm not going to lie. Right, I'm going to clarify the cards on this side. It takes two. Look, someone is not committed, incompatible, conflicted. False hope. Tries to sell you a pipe dream, no substance, evasive. So you might try to call this person out and be like, why are you being off with me? Why are you being like having a funny attitude, or why are you like being cold or whatever? If you notice that someone's being different with you, it's always really obvious as soon as they start being like that. And, you know, your radar is just saying that something's up, and then you try to talk to them and they just dodge it, or they make excuses not to hold hands, or hate it so much. I'm not saying this like, you know, without sensitivity, because I've been in that situation. It's awful. If someone moves their hand away from yours, or, you know, they keep going out with friends instead of being around, or they'll find a reason why they can't partake in something that's supposed to be the two of you. Oh, horrible. They really need to take the bull by the horns and address this if their feelings have changed. Because it is just torture for the other person. Emptiness echoes in absence. Feel the lonely spaces, yearning for a comforting presence. So it's not that this person doesn't want to be in a connection. They don't want to be in this one. I'm sorry to say that, because it's Sagittarius' person. Right, I'm going to get a confession from them. The one that Sagittarius is dealing with, the one they're having arguments with. I don't like all the attention you get. So they're wondering if you're also like getting attention from other people. Okay, they don't like it. It affects their mood. It affects their, you know, probably their status as far as they see it. Yet they know that their feelings have changed. So, bit weird. I'm going through an awakening. Okay, they're distracting themselves with work. They could be a bit of a workaholic. I mean, they were showing up as a King of Pentacles, so, you know, perhaps they feel most confident in like work mode. My ego is loud, but I'm listening to my soul. I'm striving for spiritual enlightenment. So your ego is like when you're overly concerned with what other people think, okay? Judgment from others, status, assets, being married or single. You know, certain people perceive being married and having children as higher status. Certain people perceive owning a home as higher status compared to renting, you know, or they perceive being married to someone with, you know, the same amount of money as them, or the same earnings or higher, as like higher status. So this person is overly concerned with status and wealth and what people think. They don't like gossip, but they're really trying to be honest with themselves about their feelings and whether this has legs anymore. I mean, you can have a beautiful home and be really unhappy inside it. You can feel lonely from within inside a relationship or marriage. You know, I've been there. Send me love and healing. I'm struggling. Okay, so they're having a tough time with their emotions. They turn off and they get deeper into work. They bury their head in the sand. They're evasive. They don't like having conversations about this. Thank you for the likes. I can't answer questions in the lives, but you can pay for a 20-minute recorded reading. It's £18. When I get to 500 subscribers, I can accept super chats and I'll answer your questions. Well, I don't have time to answer hundreds of, questions for free. I'm not doing that. I don't have the energy for this right now, okay? So that's why the Chariot is in the challenge position, because they're not ready to move with this. They're not ready to take action. What about the Two of Cups reversed? I think they've fallen out of love, this person, I'm sorry to say. Because it's with the Ace of Cups reversed. Oh, you're too good for me. I don't deserve you. They feel like a really shit person for continuing being in this connection, knowing that their feelings have changed. Some things are just not, you could just say, well, why didn't they just deal with it? But it would affect a lot of people generally. You've got your finances tied up together. It's very scary to leave something when you've been in it for years. It scares everybody connected, friends, family, children. It's a lot of upheaval and change, and it's daunting. So sometimes it's easy just to continue. Thanks, Gowrie. Grace and gratitude. Through gratitude, joy expands. Okay, so try to think about the words that you use. They need to do the same. There's ways of dealing with changes in feelings, and it's easy for us to get hurt, to lose our temper, to lash out, but it's going to require a lot of inner strength in order to deal with this in a way that's, we're not lashing out, we're not saying hurtful things. Look at it in a sense of like, appreciate what you've built together. See the connection as a success, even though it hasn't continued forever. What's been accrued over time, what's been invested, has created a lot of wonderful memories, a good financial situation. So try to be grateful for having spent many years together. Just because someone ends it at some point doesn't mean that then didn't all happen. It's unfair to say that and render something pointless. It's wrong to do that, Sometimes we learn everything that we can learn from a connection, and then it needs to stop because it becomes toxic to stay in it. Befriend the world and polarize. Look. That to me is like spirit saying, don't be afraid to now go in your own directions. Find out who you are as individuals, both of you, whether you're the cross-watcher or Sagittarius. There are many people around the world. There's just the same types of people repeated over and over. So you can find, souls that you click with, that you connect with in many different places, many different religions, many different cultures, different countries. It's just the same, like there's maybe 5 or 6 types of people, maybe more, but they're repeated over and over. So, it's little wonder that we can travel and, make friends for life. Or we can live abroad and make friends for life. And I'm not saying every person, but you will click with someone and you'll just be like blown away. But it's a very nice thing. It's a very beautiful thing to discover that. It removes fear. And it makes us realise we're not contained to the small area that we've been in. Or the small group of people, the small community that we've been in. We don't need to restrict ourselves like that. Sometimes you outgrow like groups of people or situations as well. You know, like it wasn't wrong back then, but maybe it feels wrong now. Like a fish out of water. Or you can just get utterly bored, you know. Giraffe and visionary, rise above earthly matters. So earthly matters is, you know, mortgages, rent, work contracts, all of that stuff that you get bogged down with and trapped on a treadmill with. Glide through life with grace. You got this twice, haven't you, about grace and gratitude. You are able to see the right path, stand tall in your self-worth and love with a big heart. Hi Ash, welcome into the chat. Oh, that's nice, thank you. So that's all your advice. Deal with things as gracefully as you can. Okay, this person is being honest. If this resonates, Sagittarius, and this person, you know, tells you that their feelings are changed, they're being very, very honest. Okay, they might not have the best way of saying it, or they might be evasive, but it's just how it is. It's the case. Okay, so I'm going to tidy those cards up and I'll move on to Capricorn. I'm going through the zodiac signs in order, and I'll be starting Capricorn next. They're collective readings by zodiac sun sign. When I get to 500 subscribers, I'll take personal questions, but you'll have to pay a super chat, because if I do 3 questions, I'll be here for a lifetime. And I'm a full-time high school teacher, so I have to, you know, make sure that these readings, these group ones, these collective ones are free, but individual questions I will need to charge because it's too much of my free time, you know. It's like doing a second job for nothing. It's overly generous, that. Whoops.